Hello and welcome to Unacademy IAS, a one-stop destination for all the English medium civil services aspirants. Welcome to the session of Conquer Prelims 2026, and this will be the first session where I'll be covering the Indian economic concepts which have appeared from January to June 2025. Now, before I start the session, those present, please do give the confirmation. Am I audible and visible for all of you? Those present, please give the confirmation. Am I audible and visible for all of you? Done. Thanks a lot. Let's start there. So before I start, a lot of you keep on commenting, putting comments in the video of Conquer Prelims videos that have been covered or that have been uploaded on the YouTube channel, asking for the PPT or the annotated PDFs. Now there's a QR code that is visible for all of you. All you need to do is scan the QR code. You'll be taken to a page. In that particular page, all the PPTs that we are using in the session will be available for you to download. Use the link, download, but more importantly, please use it for revision purposes. And second important point before I start, I'll be taking up a lot of concepts today, discussing a lot of topics which are there or which were there in the current affairs from January to June 2025. Now, there is no point in me telling you the concept, the points, and then asking you a question, which is easier for you because hardly it's been 2 or 3 minutes that you've heard the concept, you will solve the question. Rather than this, I'm just making a tweak to the approach. Monday at 11 a.m., I'll be conducting a test. This is the link to the special class. I'll be conducting a test online. This will be on the platform. This is the QR code to join that particular class. All you need to do is right now scan and hit on the notify me button. And regarding the notes, I know a lot of you will basically say, sir, what about the notes? How do I revise? In this session for the next 2 hours, what am I expecting from you? Please don't write down whatever I say. Don't write down whatever I discuss. One, you will get the PPT, and second, after the session is over, I'll ensure that you will also get the notes. You'll also get the notes. Whatever topics I'm going to cover, you will get the notes of those particular topics. Now, some of you are saying the session is buffering. Is it the same for all? Do let me know. Is it the same for all? Done. Right. So the one person who is saying it is buffering, please hit the refresh button. Right. So the notes will be uploaded. Right. Please download. And the notes will be on the topics that I'm going to discuss for the next 2 hours. But again, I'm saying the notes are relevant to or the covering the topics which are relevant, points which are relevant for prelims examination. Hardly around 19 pages. For you, 19 pages should be a work for 2 to 3 hours. So Monday, 11 a.m., do not miss out. Let's attempt a test on the topics I'm going to cover today. Okay. Now, last one, tomorrow, same time. 7 p.m. I'll be taking up one more session under the Conquer Prelims initiative where I'll cover the current affairs from the month of July to December 2025. With this, let's start the discussion. The first important topic I'll be covering is the Government of India setting up a committee to revamp or to rebase the wholesale price index. Right now, we have multiple indicators. We have wholesale price index. We have consumer price index. The base year for the consumer price index is 2012 and for wholesale price index, it is 2011 and 12. The Government of India has set up a committee that is essentially headed by Mr. Ramesh Chand. This is headed by NITI Aayog member Mr. Ramesh Chand. This particular committee has been given a time period of 18 months and give recommendations regarding the changes to be incorporated in the wholesale price index. Now, in addition to this, the committee also has been asked to give recommendations regarding producer price index, that is PPI. Now, what is the basic idea of a producer price index? Listen to me carefully. In the wholesale price index, what do? We simply measure the prices of the basket of 697 goods. We measure the price of 697 goods. Again, I'm using the term goods because under WPI, there are no services. Under WPI, right now, there are no services. That is, the basket doesn't have services. It's only 697 goods. But when you take the prices of these particular 697 goods, you're taking the price in the wholesale market level. In the wholesale market level. And what is the problem with that? From the producer, let's say the seller or the distributor who is present in the wholesale market, there will be a change in the price. Is my point clear to all of you? From the seller, right, that is the producer, when the product is manufactured and the product goes to the distributor who is selling this particular product in the wholesale market, there will be a variation in the price. For what purpose? There could be addition of transportation cost. There could be a profit addition, etc. So what we do in wholesale price index, we take the price levels in the wholesale market. But in case of producer price index, PPI, producer price index, we are not measuring in the wholesale market the prices, rather at the production level itself. That is at the production level. What is the change in the prices that are received by the seller? That is the producer when they will sell the product to the buyers in the market. This particular price is measured and the change in the price is calculated, and that is called as producer price index. Is everybody okay? In the global market, the developed countries, even including China, many of these particular countries, rather than using or calculating WPI, right, they are calculating producer price index. In the past also, there has been a lot of discussion to introduce PPI, but so far it has not been introduced in India. Now, this particular committee has been set up to give recommendation regarding PPI. This is the most important point. Is everybody okay? Apart from this, one is in WPI, only goods are there. In PPI, goods plus services. In WPI, wholesale prices. In PPI, the price that is changing, that is received by the producer. In WPI, there is a danger of double counting. Double counting in the sense, the same product which will be used as input for different products, both of the products might be counted in the basket under WPI. Double counting bias is present under WPI, whereas in case of PPI, that double counting bias is not there. In WPI, lot of expenditures are added, lot of costs are added, whereas in case of PPI, the indirect taxes, the transportation cost, all of this are excluded. That's the reason PPI is a better indicator compared to WPI. Is everybody okay with the first topic? Please do let me know. So the committee has been set up. Let's wait and see what will be the recommendation of committee. Okay, great. Second topic, annual survey of unincorporated sector enterprises. Annual survey of unincorporated sector enterprises. Important one. I'll tell you the reason. Very recently, there has been a lot of debate. What is the debate? It is associated with how we are measuring gross domestic product. Right? Various committees or various experts, even international agencies are stating that there is some issue with how the GDP is measured in India. How the GDP is measured in India. Right? One of the reasons why the criticism has been leveled or concerns have been raised is the way we are counting informal sector's contribution. Informal sector. Right? What do you mean by informal here? Simple. Those enterprises which are not registered. Those which are not registered. Right now, MOSPI uses various methods, extrapolation method, right? Let's say deflation method, etc. But there is always a concern, are we measuring the informal sector in the right way? They will either use the term informal or unorganized. Now from the year 21 and 22, remember this, from the year 21 and 22, there is a new type of a survey which has been introduced. And this survey essentially focuses on the data from unincorporated enterprises. From unincorporated enterprises. What do you mean by unincorporated here? Again, I'm repeating, those which are not registered. The unregistered enterprises are the target areas here. So 21-22, first time it was measured, and right, basically very recently another round of data collection has been done and the data results have been announced. And going forward, very soon, the way we are going to measure GDP, the way we are going to calculate GDP, very soon the methodology is going to change. It is going to change. And if you go by the newspaper articles, by 29 and 30, we are going to move away from the concept of GDP to the concept of NDP. Right? So how we are going to calculate GDP, that methodology is going to change. And one of the ways that we are going to improve the quality of the data collected will be through ACAS-USE. Is it okay? This will be one more survey that will become important, relevant going forward. Now listen to me very carefully. There is also a survey called as PLFS, Periodic Labor Force Survey. There is also a survey by the name of AQEES, that is All India Quarterly Establishment Employment Surveys. There are different types of surveys which are being used right now. PLFS is used to calculate employment, unemployment every month. Please remember this. This has been changed very recently. For every month, we are going to calculate employment and unemployment data now. That is being done under PLFS. Compared to the earlier practice under employment and unemployment survey, where we used to calculate employment and unemployment once every 5 years. Once every 5 years. Right? Whereas AQEES essentially goes to the enterprises. Lot of these enterprises which are present in urban India, rural India, which have employed 10 or more than 10 people, they will collect the data from, right, let's say these particular enterprises. More than or around 5 lakh enterprises have been identified under AQEES. So these are the different methodologies, different surveys which are being conducted by the government, Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation in recent times. Is everybody okay? But here is the question to all of you. Let me see how many of you will be able to answer the question. I've written ASUSE, I've written PLFS, I've written AQEES. Please tell me which of these particular surveys will give you the data associated with supply side in the labor market. I'll repeat the question. Which of the following will provide you with the supply side of labor market? One is essentially the demand side in the labor market, and the second one is the supply side in the labor market. Please tell me, which of the following will give you supply side? Some of you are writing AQEES. Most of you have written PLFS. I'm happy, by the way. Right? Okay. Those who are getting confused, what do you mean by supply side? What do you mean by demand side here? Whenever the surveys are conducted taking household as a measurement of unit, that is those units which will supply labor to the market, that is essentially called as a supply side measurement. And if you take units, if you take companies as a unit of measurement and you collect the data from there, then essentially that is a demand side, right, survey in the labor market. So out of all the three that I've written here, ASUSE, you go to enterprises, unincorporated enterprises, collect the data from there. AQEES, you go to the enterprises, collect the data from there. PLFS, you go to households, collect the data from there. So PLFS is the right answer. Done? Everybody is okay with the second topic here? Please do let me know. Everybody is okay with the second topic? Okay, great. Next one is NITI Aayog's Fiscal Health Index. NITI Aayog's Fiscal Health Index. Now within NITI Aayog, please focus on the indices which are published by NITI Aayog. Right, the indices which are published by NITI Aayog. What is the reason? I'll give you a couple of examples in recent times. Very recently, was there a discussion associated with quality of water? Quality of water in India. So can UPSC ask you a question, which of the following indices are published by NITI Aayog, which will focus on or which has a parameter regarding the quality of water? Can be asked. Can be asked. I'll give you one more example. Today's a newspaper, and I know most of you would have read Hindu newspaper, but in Hindu that was not actually covered. Export Preparedness Index. Export Preparedness Index. EPI. Today's newspaper, there was one more article. The 2024 report regarding Export Preparedness Index was published by whom? NITI Aayog. So, a lot of these indices are published by NITI Aayog. Please be very careful. Question can be asked in the prelims examination. So, one report that was published last year, again because we are discussing January to June, one index that was published last year, NITI Aayog's Fiscal Health Index. NITI Aayog's Fiscal Health Index. This is basically published by NITI Aayog. It was published for the year 2025. They took the performance of multiple states. Around 18 plus states performance was measured under these particular parameters. The performance of the states was measured under these indicators. That is the quality of expenditure, revenue mobilization, the fiscal prudence, debt index, debt sustainability. These kind of parameters were taken. The performance of the states was measured and the fiscal health index was published for 18 states. Right? Is everybody okay? Just factual information, but important for the prelims examination. Please make a note of this. Now, let me ask you one more question here. Starting from next financial year, where you are going to write the exam, which will be the most important fiscal indicator for the Union Government of India? Do let me know. Starting next year, which will be the most important fiscal indicator for Government of India, that is the Union Government? Anybody knows the answer? Aman Singh says debt. Right? Somebody else says NDP. NDP, my dear, starting next financial year, the Government of India will essentially focus on debt to GDP ratio. Debt to GDP ratio. This was announced last year by the government, and from this year they are going to focus on this as the most important financial indicator. Is everybody okay? Please do let me know. This will be the most important financial indicator, and this was given as a recommendation by which committee? Anybody knows? The debt to GDP ratio should be used as the most important parameter for fiscal prudence for the government. Which committee gave this particular recommendation? It was given as a recommendation by N.K. Singh Committee. N.K. Singh Committee, or else also referred to as FRBM Review Committee. FRBM Review Committee. Is it okay? So these are certain important points. I am trying to establish a different, let's say, important concepts associated with the fiscal prudence, fiscal index, etc. Somebody saying Kasturi Ranjan Committee. Kasturi Ranjan Committee, my dear, right? Which committee are talking about? Okay. Saloni Gupta is asking what is debt to GDP? My dear, it's simply the overall debt of the government divided by the GDP of India. Simple. Overall debt of the government divided by the GDP, gross domestic product. And that measurement is basically called as debt to GDP ratio. Okay. Next, monetary policy of Reserve Bank of India, right? February 2025. I hope all of you know this. Once every 2 months, right? Once every 2 months, bi-monthly monetary policy. So, February 2025, out of all the announcements, which were the most important? Which were the most important? 1. Non-bank brokers can access NDS-OM in G securities. Now, what is this non-bank brokers and NDS-OM? Listen to me very carefully. Point number 1, the Government of India issues government securities. Correct? The Government of India issues, through RBI, issues a lot of government securities. These government securities can be in the form of short-term instruments, that is treasury bills, and these can also be in the form of dated securities. Dated securities, that is government bonds. Now, these particular instruments of Government of India are auctioned by Reserve Bank of India, using the portal eKuber. Is the point clear? Point number 1. Using the portal eKuber. And eKuber is what? It is the CBS, right? It is basically the CBS of Reserve Bank of India, right? Core banking solution of Reserve Bank of India. Now, once these instruments are auctioned, lot of investors will purchase them. Banks, right? Let's say the primary dealers, insurance companies, mutual fund companies, etc. Lot of investors will purchase them. Now, these investors want to trade the securities. They want to trade the securities. Where are they allowed to trade these instruments? There is one more platform, that is NDS-OM. Is the sequence okay with all of you? Please do let me know. Is the sequence okay with all of you? The eKuber is called as primary market here, and NDS-OM is called as secondary market. eKuber is called as a primary market. NDS-OM, what is the full form of NDS-OM? Negotiated Dealing System Order Matching. Negotiated Dealing System Order Matching. NDS-OM. This is nothing but the secondary market. So primary market means the instruments where for the first time these are issued. In which market for the first time or the fresh issuance will happen. That is called as a primary market. The issued instruments, where are they traded? These are called as secondary market. So can I give you a couple of more examples of secondary market? All of you heard of NSE and BSE? Please do let me know. NSE and BSE, National Stock Exchange and Bombay Stock Exchange, these are examples of secondary market. These are nothing but examples of secondary market. NSE and BSE both are secondary market. Okay, so come back to the discussion now. Until now, right, these particular investors, non-bank brokers, that is the brokers which will provide these brokerage services, but these are not banks. These are not banking financial institutions. So multiple institutions which were acting as a brokerage service providers, these until now were not allowed to participate in the NDS-OM market. These are not allowed to participate in the secondary market for government bonds. Now, these will be allowed to participate in the secondary market of government bonds. What is the use of this? More participation. More participation, right? More competition to buy, to sell, etc. Better price discovery, etc. So that is essentially, right, the importance of this announcement of Reserve Bank of India. Next, bank.in to combat digital frauds. My dear, please listen carefully. I'm explaining, please listen carefully. The banks can provide through different, right, let's say organization setup, the banks can provide brokerage services to you. Brokerage essentially means which will help you basically to invest in the market. Brokerage services. So there are institutions which will provide brokerage services, but these are not banks. Non-bank brokers. Listen carefully. No point in repeating the same point again and again. Listen. Okay. So next, bank.in to combat digital fraud. What is this? Whenever you use any website, there will be a domain name. Correct? There will be a domain name or domain address. It could be .gov.in. It could be .co.in. It could be .com domain addresses. Now in India, there is a concern that some of the websites are fake websites, but they are basically dressing these websites as genuine bank websites. Let's say you want to open a bank account. How do you ensure the account where you're opening using a website, that website is a genuine bank's website? How do you ensure that? They will ask for your, right, let's say PAN. You will submit it. They will ask for your ID. You will submit it. They will ask for your Aadhaar. You will, submit it. You believe that this website address popped up in the right top when you searched in the Google, and you will believe it is an original website, bank's website. You will keep on providing all the details. What if those details are essentially outcome of a phishing activity? What if there is a cyber security threat for your financial details, or using your financial details, they will apply for a loan somewhere else, etc. So there is always an issue associated with, right, let's say the website names. So what RBI has done now is, for banks going forward, they will have a single domain name. That is, let's say there is SBI, sbi.bank.in. That particular bank.in is a proof that this is the original website of State Bank of India. Right? Let's say Bank of Baroda, bob.bank.in. If that is there, that domain name is there, essentially it means this is an original website. So in order to protect the customers, in order to ensure that the online or internet is not abused or misused, phishing activities are not done, etc., the Reserve Bank of India now has stated we will give exclusive domain names for banks. And the customers need to be aware whenever they want to open, whenever they want to conduct any kind of activity. And who will control the issuance, the registration of all of these particular domain names? The Institute for Development and Research in Banking Technology. Remember, please remember, right? IDRBT will be the exclusive registrar. You'll have to go to this authority, the banks will have to go to this authority, register for this particular domain name. Is everybody okay? These are the two very important announcements in the monetary policy of February 2025. Can I move on to the next concept? Those present, do let me know. There is one person who keeps on typing, sir, I want PDF, I don't want PPT, etc. Yes, I will give you PDF only. Don't worry about that. Focus on the discussion. Discussion is important. Okay, next one. RBI superseded New India Cooperative Bank. RBI supersedes New India Cooperative Bank. Right? What is the importance of this article? The superseding essentially means there is a cooperative bank. Now, this particular cooperative bank's management or administration was not being conducted in a proper way. There was misuse of the funds. There was abuse of the funds. There was violation of many of these particular, right, let's say guidelines, as a result of which the customers' deposits were under risk, etc. In many of these particular cases, listen to me, the Reserve Bank of India has every right to supersede the board of the banks. And this particular power to supersede the board of the banks is given to Reserve Bank of India under the Banking Regulation Act. Under Banking Regulation Act. The Banking Regulation Act has provisions, please memorize the provision 36 AAA along with the section 56. When you read both of these particular sections together, RBI will be given the powers to basically supersede the cooperative credit society bank or cooperative credit banks. The cooperative banks essentially can be superseded. Superseded means the board of the bank will be removed. The Reserve Bank of India will appoint a person who will oversee the operations of the bank. And at this particular point of time, there was also one more important discussion that was happening. That is the DICGC. Again, I'm talking about last year. DICGC has been there in the newspaper very recently also. DICGC, Deposit Insurance Credit Guarantee Corporation. What if the customer's deposits are gone? In that particular case, how much of the deposits are covered? Right now, please remember, DICGC covers up to 5 lakh per depositor. Up to 5 lakh per depositor. And if there is any violation and the bank is not able to repay, the bank declares bankruptcy through RBI, etc., this amount has to be paid in the 90 days. The amount has to be paid within 90 days. Everybody is okay? So, who was appointed as, right, the person overseeing the operations? Reserve Bank of India appointed the Chief General Manager, the former Chief General Manager of SBI, Mr. Srikanth as the administrator. Mr. Srikanth as administrator. Okay. Now, before going forward, Anurag Ranjan is asking, DICGC covers NBFC? My dear, DICGC covers deposits with banks. I repeat, DICGC covers deposits with banks. Is NBFC a bank? Look at the name, expand the name, non-bank. The name itself says a non-bank. So obviously no, right? That is not covered. Okay, let's go forward. RBI superseded New India Bank. Power is there? Yes. Now let me ask you a question. Can RBI supersede, I repeat, can RBI supersede a cooperative society? Let me know. I'll repeat the question. Can RBI supersede a cooperative credit society? Is my statement clear to all of you? Statement. You will have to tell me the answer. Can the RBI supersede a cooperative credit society? Some of you are saying yes. Most of you are saying no. No is the correct answer. Why? I use the term credit society. Credit society. Right? Credit society by nature, it's not under RBI regulation. I'll repeat the statement. It's not under RBI regulation. It's a credit society, which means it is registered with the registrar of cooperative societies. It is registered with the registrar of cooperative societies. And I know some of you will basically say, but sir, it is involved in the credit activities. Please read the features of credit cooperative societies carefully. The credit cooperative societies cannot collect deposits from everybody. Right? It cannot collect deposits from everybody. It can collect deposits only from the clients, only from the members. Cooperative means members have to be there. It can collect money only from the members. Can it give loan to anybody? No, it can give loan to only members. Can the credit cooperative society issue a check? Not allowed. So that is the precise reason credit cooperative societies are different. Cooperative banks are different. Urban cooperative bank, right? Basically, it will come mainly under the regulation of Reserve Bank of India. It will come under mainly the regulation of Reserve Bank of India. And that has been done because the government of India has made amendment to the Banking Regulation Act back in the year 2020. Is it okay? Right. So RBI superseding, be aware of this as well. Now, associated with this, let me throw in one more terminology. RBI takes control from AVM board. AVM is a non-banking financial company. Listen to this very carefully. AVM is a non-banking financial company. It's not a bank. AVM is an NBFC. It's essentially a housing, right, associated with the housing activity. Right? Now, what is the importance of this? Listen, there is insolvency and bankruptcy code. Correct? Insolvency and bankruptcy code. The insolvency and bankruptcy code has come into force from 2016. It has come into force from 2016. But under insolvency and bankruptcy, the financial service providers, FSP, the financial service providers are not automatically covered. What do you mean by that? If a company takes a loan, company doesn't repay the loan, you can directly drag the company to NCLT. Under IBC, you can file a complaint. You can file an application of insolvency resolution. Can you do the same for a financial service provider such as insurance company, such as a housing finance company, etc.? You cannot do that. You cannot do that. You cannot do that. Why? Under insolvency and bankruptcy code, the financial service providers automatically are not covered. I'm repeating the statement, right? Because some of you are asking why. Under the IBC, automatically these are not covered. The section 227 of IBC simply says the government of India has to notify the financial service providers who have to be brought under the coverage of IBC. Is my point clear? The section 227 simply says the government has to notify which financial service providers will be brought under IBC. And according to that, the government of India has made certain changes, made certain guidelines, rules in 2019 and 2020. Now, the financial service providers such as housing finance companies are brought under IBC. They have been brought under IBC. Right? I'm pretty sure all of you heard of Diwan Housing Finance. Please do let me know. Diwan Housing Finance, that was also brought under IBC, and insolvency and bankruptcy, right, resolution started. Procedure started on that. That was the first NBFC on which, right, let's say the Reserve Bank of India went to IBC, filed insolvency resolution. Right? And that happened couple of years ago. Don't worry. Couple of years ago, not recently. And using the same power, that is same, these were notified by the government of India. And after the notification was done earlier by the government of India, RBI, using the powers under section 45 IE 1 of RBI Act, has basically superseded, taken over the control of board of AVM and dragged AVM to NCLT. Simple. Taken, right, this particular company or entity to NCLT, which essentially means insolvency resolution process has to start for this entity. Is everybody okay? Slightly technical, I know, but be very careful. Financial service providers automatically do not come under IBC. That's a point you need to take away. Government has to notify. Then RBI will come into picture, and RBI automatically will not take up this entity. It has to first get the approval from the regulator. Housing finance is not coming under the RBI. Housing finance comes under National Housing Board. It comes under NHB. They will have to take the approval from NHB, then take this entity to NCLT. Right? So this is one more important, right, concept. Please be very careful. Next one, Japan-India currency swap. Japan-India currency swap, that is bilateral swap arrangement. Right? India and Japan back in the year 2008 signed a swap arrangement. What is the basic idea of a swap arrangement? Just imagine India is not having sufficient amount of dollars. Now, under this particular agreement, again I am saying imagine that. Under this agreement, RBI will be able to give certain amount of rupees to the Central Bank of Japan, and right, certain amount of dollars will be given by Central Bank of Japan to Reserve Bank of India. Is everybody able to understand the logic here? What is the basic idea? Let's assume $1 is equal to 50 rupees. Simple, $1 is equal to 50 rupees. RBI will deposit 50 rupees with the Bank of Japan, and Bank of Japan will give Reserve Bank of India $1. This is called as bilateral swap arrangement. For what duration the arrangement is done? It all depends on the two entities which are involved here. And initially this particular bilateral swap arrangement was signed back in the year 2008. And the amount was also very limited, very limited. Over a period of time, the amount under the bilateral swap arrangement has been increased. According to the arrangement which was reviewed last year, this arrangement now is worth $75 billion. This arrangement is now worth $75 billion. That is essentially, if RBI wants, they can take up to $75 billion from the Central Bank of Japan and deposit equivalent amount of rupees to the Bank of Japan. And upon the maturity period is over, maturity in the sense, let's say the arrangement was entered into for a period of 3 months or 6 months or 1 year. After that is over, right, let's say the dollars will be returned and the rupees will be taken back by Reserve Bank of India. What is the importance of this? And related to this, there is also this one, please remember, Framework on Currency Swap Arrangement for SAARC countries. For SAARC countries for a period of 24 and 27. The government of India, that is the cabinet, has approved, right, a swap of 25,000 crore rupees. It has approved a swap arrangement. Please remember the numbers can be asked in the preliminary examination. Right, so 25,000 crore worth of swap window facility has been made available for 3 years now, 24 to 27. Earlier the window was made available for 3 years, 2019 to 2022. Now 3 more years, 24 to 27 for the members of SAARC. These countries can basically enter into the bilateral swap arrangements with India and get access to the currencies. And what is the benefit? right? What is the benefit? Benefit is simple. You are conducting trade with certain other countries. They don't have sufficient currencies to pay you. They do not have dollars to pay you. They have a BOP crisis, etc. Rather than the countries defaulting, now you will provide this particular facility so that there is stability in that country. I hope you understand. There is stability in that country. Otherwise, imagine this. Imagine. I'm not saying it is happening, but imagine. What if all the forex reserves which are held by Reserve Bank of India are depleted? Think of this. If all the forex reserves have depleted or very, very less forex reserves are there, don't you think this will create lot of instability and volatility? Correct? It will create lot of volatility, uncertainty, instability. Investors will not be interested to invest in India. Foreign traders will not be interested to sell to India. Right? A lot of investors will start withdrawing their money. It will create volatility in the forex market as well. But if you have got this kind of access to currencies or swap arrangements with another country, you don't have to deposit another currency. You can deposit your domestic currency, get dollars. It will essentially help stabilize the exchange rate. It will essentially help protect investors' confidence in the market. It will help address the liquidity issue in your forex market. Right? So these are some of the reasons why these kind of bilateral swap arrangements are critical and important. Everybody is okay? Can I move on to the next article now? Please do let me know. Can I move on to the next article? Okay, great. Gold monetization scheme. Gold monetization. IT Japan also deposit in India. My dear, if Japan wants to get from India, they will deposit their local currency. Like we deposit rupees, they will deposit local currency and I'll give equivalent value. According to the exchange rate, I'll give them dollars. Okay, now let's go forward. Gold monetization scheme. Saloni Gupta, 25,000 crore with SAARC countries. My dear, please focus. Right? So SAARC countries, SAARC currency swap framework. It is clearly written there. Okay? Okay, let's go forward. Gold monetization scheme. I'll start using the short form GMS. Now, right, what is this gold monetization scheme? Imagine you have certain amount of gold. You don't want to use it. You can deposit this with the bank. And the bank will provide you certain benefits. What is the benefit? There are three types of initiatives. There are three types of deposit schemes under gold monetization scheme. Please have a look at the three types: short term, medium term and long term. Is everybody okay? Short term, those will simply say are not visible. Let me zoom in. Don't panic. Please don't panic. Right? So let me zoom in. Short term, medium term and long term. Three types of deposit schemes were introduced. You deposit gold under any one of the three. And what is the benefit? The duration is given here. You will choose the duration. But please remember this. The short term deposit scheme, the rate of interest would be determined by the bank. The rate of interest would be determined by the bank. Bank will give you the rate of interest. And they will basically use the gold for selling. They will use gold for whatever purpose they want. Upon maturity, right? Whatever is the maturity, upon maturity, right? Basically, you will receive either gold or cash. Right? The gold, same amount of gold, or you will be given the market price of the gold upon maturity. This is in the context of short-term gold deposit. Short term. Now, what about the medium term and long term? Medium term, the maturity period is 5 to 7 years. Long term is 12 to 15 years. But more importantly, focus on this. The medium term and long term, the rate of interest was decided by government. The rate of interest was decided by the government. The government determined for what purpose the gold will be used. And the government simply said, upon maturity, I'll give you cash. I'll give you cash upon maturity. The problem arose because the market prices of the gold in recent times have skyrocketed. Is it okay? The market prices of the gold have skyrocketed in the recent times. So what has the government of India stated? The government of India stated, out of the three schemes, that is short term, medium term and long term, I was involved in the second and third, that is medium and long term. I will discontinue that. Is the point clear? The government of India stated, I am involved in medium and long term. I am guaranteeing the payment in medium and long term. I will discontinue that. I will not collect any kind of a gold under medium and long term deposit. And the amount of gold that you can deposit under these kind of schemes was a bare minimum 10 grams. A bare minimum of 10 grams. There was no ceiling, but the minimum was 10 grams. So government of India has discontinued the second and third. The first one, which is essentially the decision of the banks, rate of interest, right? What to pay, etc., is the decision of the bank. The government says, if the banks are interested, let them continue. If the banks are interested, let them continue to provide, which essentially means now, is the gold monetization scheme still available? Yes, but only short term. Only short term. The medium and long term have been discontinued by Government of India. They have been discontinued by Government of India. Is everybody okay with the discussion here? Please do let me know. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't overcomplicate it. Simple. You deposit gold, right? The minimum amount of gold is 10 grams. You will choose what kind of deposit you want to keep. The first one, bank will decide the rate of interest. Second and third, government would decide. And upon maturity, in the second and third, government would give you money. Now, because the price of the gold has skyrocketed, government simply says, not possible. I can't keep on giving you this huge amount of money because the market price are very high. Let's discontinue it. That is, in simple terms, what has happened. Right? Questions can be asked on the factual data here. Please go through the table. Go through the table once more. Like I'm saying, the table will be available. PPT will be, or PDF, because somebody will say, sir, PDF, not PPT. PDF will be made available to you. Notes will be made available to you. Take 1 or 2 days. Please go through the notes. Hardly 20 pages are there. Read them thoroughly. Read them carefully. Let's attempt the test. I'll give you test on 19th at 11 a.m. Attempt the test. Hardly 30 to 45 minutes. Attempt it. You will realize to what extent you are able to revise. Okay, let's go forward now. Government abolishes the digital tax. Government abolishes digital tax. Right, listen to me carefully. There is a lot of discussion associated with the concept of OECD BPS Framework. All of you heard of this? OECD BPS Framework. What is the speciality of this? Under the OECD BPS Framework, the countries, more than 140 countries have come together and they have put together a framework using which they want to address the issue of tax avoidance. They want to address the issue of tax avoidance, that is the multinational enterprises, MNEs or MNCs. The multinational enterprises essentially are using lot of, right, let's say methods to evade taxes, avoid taxes. And because of that, more than $100 billion annually in the form of tax receipts are lost by these countries. So they want to address this particular issue. So what they have done is they have introduced the OECD BPS framework. Under that, 2.0 focuses on the concept of global minimum corporate taxation. Global minimum corporate taxation. Now with the introduction of GMCT discussion, it was bound to happen that the government of India has to withdraw the Google tax. Simple, understand the logic. With India being one of the signatories to the BPS 2.0, wherein the similar model is announced, that is under the pillar 1. All of you know this. There are 2 pillars under BPS 2.0. The pillar 1 essentially targets the companies which have the revenues of more than 750 euros per annum. some of the profits will have to be taken and given to the market where the revenues are generated, where profits are generated. That is pillar 1. Essentially, that is pillar 1. And pillar 2 is minimum corporate tax rate of 15%. Now, this is being discussed under the BPS 2.0. But even before that, Government of India, back in the year 2016, the Finance Act of 2016, the Government of India introduced the concept of digital tax. You must have heard of the name equalization levy. They amended, or they brought in this particular amendment under the Finance Act, and they introduced the digital tax. And what was the argument of the government? Lot of these advertisement service providers, such as Facebook, which is Meta now, or for that matter, company X, or for that matter, Google. Lot of these non-resident companies, multinational enterprises, they are generating revenues in India, but they are not paying taxes in India. So Government of India simply stated they will be imposing and collecting 6% of the revenue generated or the sales generated in the form of equalization levy. But in the year 2020, one more addition was done by the government. In the 2020, one more addition was done by the government. What was the addition? They basically identified even the e-commerce companies. They identified e-commerce companies and stated even e-commerce companies are generating revenue in India, but they are not paying taxes. Again, non-resident companies, they are not paying taxes on that profits in India. So 2% tax was introduced, digital services tax was introduced. Right, so initially for advertisement service providers, later e-commerce companies, again non-resident, both of them non-resident. Right, so Government of India in 2024 withdrew the tax on e-commerce companies, and in 2025 withdrew even the equalization levy. Right now, is the equalization levy applicable? No, Government of India has withdrawn it. Is the digital services tax applicable? No, Government of India has withdrawn it. Is everybody okay? So government abolishes the digital taxes. Right? So 2020 it was introduced 2%, 2016 6%, but in 24 the 2% was withdrawn, 2025 the 6% also withdrawn. Okay? So Shrusti is asking, is it beneficial for MNCs? Yes. But please understand there is a background to that. What is the background? Under the global minimum corporate tax, the pillar 1, once it comes into force, essentially it is nothing but the version, another version of the digital tax that the Government of India had earlier announced. Are you able to understand? Shrusti, I'm asking you by the way. Again, don't simply think that I'm scolding you, etc. No, I'm just asking you. With introduction of the pillar 1, wherein we are going to identify these kind of companies and impose taxes on them under pillar 1, essentially the same idea will be reinforced. Okay, Manisha Mukherjee, welcome. And this was a PYQ, yes, but that was before the withdrawal of the taxes. The question was asked much before the withdrawal of the taxes. Now this is the update. Both of the taxes have been abolished. Let's go forward. Principal purpose test. Principal purpose test, your favorite word, right? Your favorite word, PPT. Lot of you will keep on asking, sir, PPT. Where is the PPT? Where is the PPT? How can I download the PPT? So please remember, there is a concept associated with your favorite word as well. Principal purpose test. What is this idea of a principal purpose test? Point number 1. Again, this is covered under OECD BPS Framework. Please remember all these particular terms. It is a part of OECD BPS Framework. Earlier I said there was an action framework. There was a framework. The global minimum corporate tax is 2.0. But even before that, there were 15 pillars. There are 15 pillars that were announced under the OECD BPS framework. Out of this, there is basically an action 6. Remember all of this. There is an action pillar 6 which talks about multilateral instrument. And this idea of a principal purpose test is covered under this. multilateral instrument which is part of OECD BPS Action Framework. Now listen to me carefully. What is the meaning of the principal purpose test? Let's say here are two countries, A and B. There is a company in the first country. They will set up a subsidiary in the second country. Now simple question is, what is the purpose of this? Listen carefully. I'll repeat it again. The company 1 is present in country A. They will set up a subsidiary company in the second country, that is country B. What is the purpose of it? What is the purpose? Is the purpose essentially to get the tax benefit or treaty benefits? What do you mean by tax benefits or treaty benefits? What if both of the countries have signed a double taxation avoidance agreement? Right? What if both of the countries have signed double taxation avoidance agreement, and according to that, the second country B will be imposing taxes and collecting the taxes, and let's say the tax rate is 0%. Hypothetically, tax rate is 0%. So now can I simply say the main objective why the company 1 has set up a subsidiary in the country B is to get the benefits of tax treaty. Correct? It is to basically manipulate the tax treaty and get the benefit of tax treaty. This is essentially evaluated under PPT. All of you able to understand? This is essentially the evaluation that is done using the principal purpose test. And according to this now, there is no benefit. There is no other benefit just to get the benefits of the tax treaty. In such cases, the benefits of tax treaty between A and B shall not be extended to the second company. Everybody is able to understand? If it is just to get the benefit of the tax treaty, no, we will not extend the benefits. So we will apply the principal purpose test, and we will simply say the second company, that is the C2, will not get the tax treaty benefit. In a nutshell, it focuses on substance, the substance here rather than simply the arrangement. The focus here is on the substance, not the arrangement. Right? What is the substance? Why the company 2 is set up? Is it to simply get the benefit of tax treaty? Let's not extend the benefits. That is principal purpose taxation. Part of OECD BPS framework, 15 pillars are there. This is under action 6. Can be asked in the prelims. Please be very careful. Next, the Reserve Bank of India has made certain changes to the priority sector lending, PSL, new guidelines. Area where UPSC has asked a lot of questions earlier also, can be asked again. For example, earlier there was a question asked on threshold of the loan that is given. Threshold on the loan that is given. That is essentially under the PSL. Please understand, PSL stands for Priority Sector Lending. Priority Sector Lending. Okay. Now under Priority Sector Lending, the banks have to ensure, and before I go forward, those present do let me know, PSL is part of qualitative or quantitative? That is monetary policy tools. Is it part of qualitative or quantitative? Do let me know in the chat section. Under the PSL, the banks will have to essentially meet 40% target. 40% means out of the total loans which are issued, the technical term is ANBC. I'll use a very simple way to explain this. 40% of the loans. Out of out of the total loans given, 40% should be given to specific types of borrowers. Specific types of borrowers. For example, MSME. For example, export credit, student loans, right? Weaker sections of the society, etc., etc. Lot of you are saying qualitative, quantitative. My dear, it is qualitative. Qualitative, not quantitative, qualitative. What is essentially the difference between qualitative and quantitative? In quantitative, you cannot target a specific sector. You cannot change the flow of money in a specific sector. In qualitative, you can target a specific sector, change the money supply in that. Right? So, PSL, you can do that. Under PSL, can you target agriculture, increase the amount of loans under agriculture? Yes. Can you target only MSME and increase the amount of loans in MSME? Again, the answer is yes. Okay. So what are the important changes that have been announced? Please remember these. So categorization of which kind of loans can be classified under renewable energy, that limit has been changed. Loans up to limit of 35 crore rupees for a project, loans up to 35 crore rupees can be classified as the PSL now. And individual households, individual borrowers, that is the household borrowers, loans up to 10 lakh rupees can be classified under the PSL. Can be asked. Again, I'm saying can be asked. Sir, why? Why will the UPSC ask you? Can they connect this with the idea of a Pradhana Mantri Surya Ghar Yojana? Right? Can they connect it to renewable energy projects? Of course, yes. They can ask you a question associated with this. The UCBs, urban cooperative bodies, urban cooperative banks. Urban cooperative banks, the PSL until now was 75%. Now this has been reduced to 60%. Until now, right, there was a cap on the loans that was given by the urban cooperative banks to women. There was a cap. The maximum value of the loan, right, would be limited to 2 lakh rupees. So essentially, now this particular cap on the loans has been removed. UCBs can give more than 2 lakh rupee loan. That is also, right, an important outcome. Category of eligible borrowers under the category of weaker sections of the society, that has been expanded. That has been expanded. And finally, the housing sector. The housing sector loan classification has been changed. Again, I feel these are slightly technical, but you never know what UPSC will do. They can ask you even the technicalities of the PSL guidelines. The centers which have a population of 5 million and above, right, the PSL loans will be 50 lakh. Centers with a population of 1 million and up to 5 million, loans up to 45 lakh. And centers with population of up to 1 million, loans up to 35 lakh can be categorized as PSL. Done? Everybody is okay? So please remember these particular terminologies, these particular limits can be asked in the prelims examination. What is the benefit? My dear, benefit is if you abolish a limit, don't you think the banks will be more open to giving higher value loans for women borrowers? That will basically help in promotion of entrepreneurship, women empowerment, etc. Okay, right? So these are the new set of guidelines. Again, I'm saying go through this. Can be questioned in the prelims examination. Okay. Regarding DTAA, let me take up the questions regarding DTA, etc. at the end of the session. Wait, I'll address your questions at the end of the session. Okay. Interchange fees has been hiked. Interchange fees has been hiked. What is this interchange fees? You have a bank account. And once you open a bank account, you will also be given a debit card. Correct? You will also be given a debit card. Now, generally the banks will say, in 1 month, you can conduct transactions up to 5 transactions free of cost. Correct? Up to 5 free of cost. You can conduct the transaction. I will not impose any kind of charges on you. But what if you cross the 5 free transaction and you conduct a 6th transaction? And I'm using a very neutral term here, transaction, not just withdrawal, transactions, right? Let's say you cross the limit of the transaction and you conduct a higher number of transactions. In such cases, the banks will be charging certain fees. It will charge certain fees. For example, let's say I'm having a card of one bank. I will use this particular card in another bank for the 7th time. Now the bank simply says, no, you have already crossed the limit of 5. For 6th, I will collect certain charges, give it to the bank which has provided ATM services. For the 7th, I'll again collect the charges. I will transfer this money to the company or let's say the bank which has provided the ATM services. So these charges which are imposed and collected when you conduct a transaction in the ATMs, that is essentially called as interchange fees. That is essentially called as interchange fees. That is, the charges from the customer are collected and paid. Right? So what is the interchange fees? The ATM interchange fees for cash withdrawal now has been increased to 19 rupees. It is 19 rupees. For non-cash transaction, non-cash, non-financial transaction, it is 7 rupees. Right? So 7 rupees, right, for non-financial transaction. For withdrawal, it will be 19 rupees. So interchange fees. What is interchange fees? What is the latest limit? Can be asked in the preliminary examination. Okay. So please focus on this as well. Next one. One state, one RRB. One state, right? One RRB. One state, one RRB. What is the basic idea for one state, one RRB? The regional rural banks, RRBs, initially were opened up post 1976 in India. There was a committee recommendation also, right? Remember Narsimham panel recommendation. And over a period of time, there has been a spread of regional rural banks. Under regional rural banks, other important points are 50% of the ownership or the stake or the investment was done by the central government. 15% was done by the state governments, and remaining 35% was essentially done by the sponsor bank. Remaining 35% was essentially done by the sponsor bank. Right? For example, the State Bank of India, Punjab National Bank, etc., etc. Lot of these particular banks have acted as sponsor bank. So the overall spread of regional rural banks expanded over a period of time. But what happened over a period of time was their operations were not financially viable. As a result of this, lot of these particular RRBs started incurring losses. Lot of RRBs faced a very high NPA. So Government of India post 2004 has started consolidating these RRBs. Multiple rounds of consolidation has already happened. According to the latest round, around 40 plus RRBs were left out. Government of India from 1st May 2025 has introduced a new policy. One state will have only one RRB. Is the point clear? One state will have only one RRB. Meaning what? Whatever be the number of RRBs present in that particular state, they will be merged and you will end up having only one RRB per state. Right? And very recently also, the Government of India has released the new logo for RRBs. The Government of India has released the new logo for regional rural banks. Is everybody okay? Right? So the powers to the Government of India. From where does the Government of India get the power to merge these RRBs? Because somebody will ask me, sir, what if a RRB doesn't want to get merged? Can the Government of India force merge? The powers for the merger is given to the Government of India under subsection 1 of section 23A of Regional Rural Banks Act of 1976. Remember this particular number, right? That is essentially 23A1 of, right, the Regional Rural Banks Act of 1976. So Government of India will announce a merger. The regional rural banks will have to undergo merger. That's it. Right? They can't, there is no other option available to the RRBs. Done? Everybody is okay? Right? Please do let me know in the chat section. Is everybody okay? Huh? Please do let me know. Arey Baba, participate. Please participate and do let me know. Okay, great. Somebody is saying option A. My dear, where is option A? I have not asked any question. I have not asked you any question, right? You are simply saying option A. Okay, maybe you wanted to type yes and by mistake, instead of yes, right, sir, I was busy, I was watching something on the mobile phone. I pressed instead of yes, the finger fell on A. Okay, great, right? Doesn't matter. Okay, let's go forward. UCB, right? The umbrella body for urban cooperative banks. Okay. Umbrella body for urban cooperative banks. Listen to me very carefully. Why? A lot of times you will come across the concept of cooperative banks in India. Cooperative banks, dual regulation, etc. Somebody was asking me, sir, what do you mean by dual regulation? Argument is the cooperative banks essentially are one side register with register of cooperatives, right? ROCs. If it is a single state, it will be under the same state register of cooperative. If it is a multi-state, it will be registered with the central government register of cooperative. But the problem arises when this particular bank, cooperative bank, will get involved in the banking activity. That's a problem. Why? On one side, there is a registrar of cooperative, and on the other side, there is Reserve Bank of India. So there are two different regulators. And that is a precise reason there was always a concern associated with the cooperative banks that there is a dual regulation. What if, right, let's say the administration that is carried out by the people who are elected by the members of the cooperative, what if they do not have right expertise? They don't have any clue regarding what is the banking activity, how to conduct a banking activity, etc. And that is a precise reason I'm repeating this again in today's session. The Government of India amended the Banking Regulation Act in 2020 has given very superior powers to Reserve Bank of India. It has given very superior powers to Reserve Bank of India. Now, there is one more authority which has been set up as an NBFC, which is certified or which has been issued a license or a certificate by Reserve Bank of India. And that authority is National Urban Cooperative Finance and Development Corporation. Remember this, it's a new entity which has been set up in 2024, can be asked in the prelims examination. What is the role of this? This will be the umbrella body, self-regulatory authority. It will be the umbrella body which will oversee the functioning of urban cooperative banks. Is the point clear? For urban cooperative banks, right, this is the regulatory body or the oversight body. But again, this will work because it has taken a license from Reserve Bank of India. It will basically come under RBI. But RBI simply says, let's have a dedicated authority to ensure that the urban cooperative banks are working very well. What kind of role this particular entity will play? Most of the funding has come from the central government. This entity will provide technological support to UCBs. It will provide financial assistance to UCBs, etc. It will ensure that the UCBs, like they worked earlier. Why I'm talking so much on this? Very recently also there was a discussion. Back in the year 2004, understand this, back in the year 2004, Reserve Bank of India gave multiple licenses to open urban cooperative banks. A lot of these particular entities which were given license incurred losses very soon, faced financial problems very soon. And that's the reason after 2004, RBI stopped giving licenses for UCBs. I hope you understand. RBI has stopped giving licenses to UCBs. It has not given a license in the last 2 decades to open an UCB. But now it is considering issuing licenses again. Right? Why? Basically, it says there is a regulatory authority which has been set up. There is improved performance of lot of these particular credit societies in the market, etc. So there are a lot of things that are happening associated with the urban cooperative banks. Please be very, very careful. But remember this, the umbrella body, which is an NBFC, has been given a certificate by Reserve Bank of India. It is a NUCFDC. Done? Okay. Can I move on to the next one now? Please do let me know. Great. The dividend surplus transfer. Dividend surplus transfer. Last year, RBI transferred a record dividend to Government of India, which was over 2.6 lakh crore rupees. RBI transferred a record dividend, more than 2.6 lakh crore rupees. A record dividend has been transferred by Reserve Bank of India to Government of India. What are the important points associated with this? Essentially, this particular function is conducted by Reserve Bank of India according to Section 47 of RBI Act of 1934. RBI Act of 1934. And please understand this. There have been a lot of disputes, frictions between the center as well as the Reserve Bank of India Central Board of Directors regarding how much has to be transferred. Argument is RBI will earn a certain amount of profits. Everybody is okay. RBI will conduct expenditure. RBI will earn money. Earnings is greater than the expenditure. So it will earn profit. But rather than using the term profit, we use the term surplus. Because it is not a commercial entity, we use the term surplus. So how much of these particular surplus money that is there with Reserve Bank of India, how much of it has to be transferred to the government? That was the point of friction between the earlier, right, let's say the RBI governors as well as the government of India. For example, Mr. Urjit Patel, right, or before that Mr. Raghuram Rajan, and many before them. There have been multiple instances where there is a disagreement regarding the same. So Government of India set up Bimal Jalan Committee, which would recommend economic framework, which would basically recommend an economic framework based on which the Central Board of Directors, please understand, Bimal Jalan Committee has given recommendation, right? The Central Board of Directors will decide in this year how much has to be transferred. So recommendations have been utilized to keep certain reserve. For example, in the balance sheet of RBI, there is something called as contingency risk buffer, right? There are different types of buffers, right? Essentially, the RBI has to maintain certain amount of money. For example, contingency risk. What if there is a sudden collapse of a bank? Think of it. Possible. I'm not saying it will happen. Possible. What if there's a sudden collapse of a bank? So there are many instances of emergency, crisis, etc., where the Reserve Bank of India is expected to spend a lot of money. So a lot of buffers are created, lot of reserve accounts are created under the balance sheet of RBI. So based on the recommendation of Bimal Jalan Committee, right, the CBD will decide how much of the, right, let's say the surplus transfer, Central Board of Directors will decide how much of the surplus has to be given by Reserve Bank of India to the government. Right, so last year the transfer was a record number 2.6 lakh crore rupees. 2.6 lakh crore rupees. And please remember, RBI can generate a lot of this money. It has generated a lot of this money because of lot of economic, right, events. For example, if the gold prices increase, don't you think this will contribute to the increasing balance sheet of RBI? Think of it. If the gold prices will increase, will it not contribute to the increasing balance sheet of RBI? Because RBI holds huge amount of gold reserves, by the way. Done? So a lot of events that have happened in the last 1 year have contributed to basically increasing the size of the balance sheet of Reserve Bank of India. Done? Okay, so this is one more article. Please be very careful, or concept, please be very careful. Bhavana Gowda is asking, is it possible to understand this without static part? My dear, if you have read the static part at least once, it will be very easier for you. Otherwise, suddenly, lot of these terminologies, the concepts, etc., that I keep on discussing or throwing in the classroom or in the session, you'll find it very difficult. Okay, let's go forward. And those find banking a slightly difficult, etc., please go through. There is a live session that I've done, basically covering all the concepts of banking. I've covered all the concepts. I think for 7 hours, I've covered all the concepts associated with banking. There are 2 videos. One which is of around 4.5 hours, and the second one is around 2.5 hours. Please do watch the video, at least to speed up the pace. If you feel very lengthy, speed up the pace. At least watch it once if you're yet to cover the basics. Okay, let's go forward. In the context of International Monetary Fund, what were the articles which were there in the newspaper from January to June? 2 important news articles or 2 important concepts. One, IMF giving loan to Pakistan, India objecting the loan. IMF providing a loan to Pakistan because Pakistan has historically borrowed huge sums of money from IMF. IMF has given loan, one more tranche of loan. I'll come to the name of the loan, what can be asked in the prelims, etc. India objecting to it. Second one, the board of directors. There was a representative of India, right? There was a board of director. This particular board of director was recalled by Government of India, and one more person was appointed to represent group of countries, that is India, Bangladesh, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, etc. That is basically Mr. Urjit Patel. Mr. Urjit Patel was appointed as a board of director. Now, what are the important points associated with this? Point number one, loans given by IMF. Listen to me carefully. What are the important points? IMF will give loans to the member countries. The loans given can be concessional in nature, can be non-concessional in nature. You understand the basic idea of concessional and non-concessional? Concessional essentially means where the rate of interest is not charged. Non-concessional where the rate of interest is charged. Okay, simple. The loans which are given are connected to quota. Always remember this. The loans which are given, right, are always connected to quota. That is, there is a basic representation, that is the status of a country, importance of the country in the global market. There's a formula for it, and quota for every country is calculated, and the quota will determine what is your contribution to IMF. Quota will determine what is the STR, right? That is a special drawing rights IMF will give to you. Quota will determine what is your voting power, and quota will determine how much loans you will also get. Because when the loans are given, the IMF will say it will be 140% of quota. It will be 150% of quota. It will be 100% of quota, etc., etc. Right? So quota will determine all the four things. Please memorize them. Please memorize STR, voting power, right? Your contributions, and finally the loans. Now, right, whenever the loans are issued, especially the loans which are given to Pakistan in this case, whenever the loans are issued, these are conditional loans. Conditional loans in the sense, the loan amount is not issued in one shot. Remember this. The loan amount is not issued in one shot. These are issued in different tranches. Right? And that is where the board will become so important. Because let's imagine, or why imagine, the loan which has been issued for Pakistan, essentially the category of loan is called as EFF. Can be asked in the preliminary examination. Memorize this. EFF, Extended Fund Facility. Extended Fund Facility. The Extended Fund Facility is provided whenever a country faces a larger BOP crisis because of structural issues. And the loans generally are given for a duration of generally 4.5 years, can be extended up to 10 years, etc. But please understand, this particular loan which is issued, once the amount is decided, the complete amount is not released in one shot. Rather, IMF will divide them into different rounds. They will use the term tranche. They will simply use the term tranche. These are released in tranches. And whenever these are supposed to be released, the staff of IMF will go to the respective country, will study and submit a report. Based on the report that has been submitted by the staff, if the staff doesn't object for the release of the next tranche, the next tranche shall be released. And right, let's say in this particular context, Government of India said, no, we don't want IMF to give loans to, right, Pakistan. Why? They will use the funds for terrorist financing. India objected to giving loans. Is there any option basically to stop the loans? In this case, no. Please understand. In this case, no. Why? As long as you can simply say we are opposed to it. Yes, you can say that. But listen to me carefully. As long as the staff report simply says, yes, they are on track to achieving the targets that we have given as conditions, IMF will go ahead and release the funds. Right? So it was just a formal action by Government of India which stated we oppose the issuance of loans to Pakistan because they are using it for terrorist financing. But is there any real power to stop these particular loans? As long as the staff report comes positive, IMF will continue to release the funds. Okay, now next one, board of directors. Board of directors. Remember this, in case of IMF, you have two different sets or two different levels of decision making. The highest decision making under the IMF is board of governors. All of you heard of this? Right? Board of governors. It is the highest decision making authority under IMF. Right? The board of governors will have two governors. One is the governor and the other one is alternate governor. For example, India finance minister is the governor and RBI governor will be alternate governor. Board of governors is the most important or the highest decision making authority under IMF. It will decide regarding STR. It will decide regarding entry of a country as a member, removal of a country from the membership, etc. Most important decisions are taken by board of governors. But board of governors will also allocate certain day-to-day activities to one more authority, which is board of directors. Is everybody able to understand? There will be one more authority below the board of governors who will delegate the work, who will basically allocate the work, that is a board of directors. The board of directors, there is a managing director plus remaining board of directors. A total of 25 will be present in the board of directors. Total of 25. A lot of these particular countries are formed into groups. There are certain countries which individually will appoint. Lot of these countries are formed into a group. For example, India. India is clubbed with other countries, Sri Lanka, Bhutan, Bangladesh, etc. Whereas other larger countries, individually they will appoint. India has been clubbed into, let's say group like this. So individually these particular groups will be appointing one person or the country will be appointing one person. So the person who was representing India earlier in the board of director, there were certain allegations against the person. Don't worry about the name. I will not tell you. You also don't require it. So the government of India simply said, we will recall the existing board of director and in the place of this board of director, we will appoint Mr. Urjit Patel as a board of director under IMF for a period of 3 years. For a period of 3 years. Is everybody okay? So question can be asked in the context of the composition. Question can be asked in terms of decision making, right? So please be very careful. These are important areas within IMF. Okay, next, credit guarantee scheme for startups, CGSS. Blacklist, grey list, my dear, this is all applicable to FATF. It is applicable to FATF. Can that influence the lending activity in IMF? Yes, but again I am saying, if the board decides, the loans are issued. Okay, let's go forward. Credit guarantee scheme for startups. What is this idea of a credit guarantee scheme for startups? It was one of the initiatives that was announced by the government back in the year 2022. And basically, what is the logic of this? There are a lot of startups in India. Which find it very difficult to get institutional credit. And I'll tell you what is the reason I've taken this article. I don't know how many of you know this. 2026 will mark 10 years of Startup India. Do let me know. Right? How many of you knew this? The 2026 will mark 10 years of Startup India. At 2016, the government of India launched Startup India and we are in 2026. So automatically, any scheme, any initiative completes 5 years, 10 years. Focus on that for prelims as well as mains. By default, focus on that for prelims as well as mains. Okay, come back to the discussion here. Credit guarantee scheme for startups. So this initiative was launched back in the year 2022. What was the logic of this? The logic was simple. The startups will find it very difficult to get access to institutional credit. So government of India set up this particular fund And under this particular fund, they will provide credit guarantee. Right? They will provide credit guarantee. There is an entity, Credit Guarantee Trust. So they will provide credit guarantees for the loans which are taken by the startups. Until now, the maximum value, right, of the credit guarantee was limited to 10 crore rupees. The maximum guarantee was limited to 10 crore rupees. It was announced in the last year's budget. Last year, on the 1st of February, when the budget was announced for the current financial year, the finance minister announced that we are going to double the credit guarantee for the startups under the scheme. And as a result of this, now the credit guarantee has been doubled. Maximum up to 20 crore rupees of credit guarantees will be provided. But what is the limit? Limit in terms of exposure out of the total loans? The credit guarantee provided has been increased. 85% of the amount in default for the loans up to 10 crore rupees. 75% of the amount in default for loans exceeding 10 crore rupees. That is, if the loan that is defaulted is up to 10 or more than 10. How much percentage of the loan will be guaranteed under this particular scheme? These are the numbers. 85% up to 10, 75% beyond 10. Done? Everybody is okay? Right? So this is one more very important initiative, and which is the nodal ministry for implementation of this? Ministry of Commerce. Ministry of Commerce and Industry. Remember this. Ministry of Commerce and Industry. And does it provide the credit guarantee for all the startups in India? Does it provide the credit guarantee for all the startups? Here is the technicality. No. Somebody is saying yes. No. Right? Answer is no. Does it provide guarantees for all the startup? For example, let's say I'll open a company tomorrow. I'll open a company. I'll call this as a startup. I'm an entrepreneur. So does the credit guarantee scheme, right, cover my loans? Answer is no. This is applicable only for those startups which are recognized by DPIIT. This is used, right, to provide collateral guarantees for only those startups which are recognized under DPIIT. Right, DPIIT. And how many are recognized under DPIIT? 5 lakh plus. 5 lakh plus startups have been identified under DPIIT. Right, everybody knows what is the definition of a startup. Startup according to DPIIT. Please do let me know. Department for Promotion of Industries and Internal Trade. Department for Promotion of Industries and Internal Trade. Right, the 2 or 3 people are asking what is the full form of DPIIT. Right, this is the full form. What is the definition to be recognized as a startup by DPIIT? 3 conditions. Memorize that as well. What are the 3 conditions? 1. You should be registered. You should be registered. Registered under what? Under the Companies Act, under Partnership Act, under Limited Liability Partnership Act. You should be registered under one of the 3. That is the first important condition. Second one, from the date of incorporation, you should not be more than 10 years old. From the date of incorporation, you should not be more than 10 years old. And from the date of incorporation, in every year, your turnover should not have crossed more than 100 crores. If you meet all the 3 conditions, you become eligible, right, to be recognized as a startup by DPIIT. Everybody is okay? These are the 3 conditions. Again, the reason I'm extrapolating on this is because 10 years of Startup India. Okay, let's go forward. Khandsari sugar. Khandsari sugar. Right? What is this idea of a Khandsari sugar? Why it was there in the newspaper? Simple. There is a type of a sugar which is called as a Khandsari sugar. What is the meaning of Khandsari sugar? Either they will call this as a Khand or Khandsari. Right? Essentially, this is unrefined sugar. Simple. It is unrefined sugar. That is, you must have seen, the sugar cane will be used to produce sugar. But there is a lot of refining that will go into from the sugar cane by the time you make white crystalline sugar. Correct? All of you okay? Lot of chemical treatment is provided. lot of chemicals are used, etc., to move from, right, essentially sugarcane juice to white refined sugar. So what basically government argues is there is a type of sugar variety. It is unrefined sugar variety. Chemical treatment is not done, which means it is healthier option. Simple, right? It doesn't mean that there is no calorie in, right, khansari. I hope you understand. It doesn't mean it carries 0 calories. No, it is a healthier option. It is a healthier option within this particular type of sugar. Now, what has the government of India done? In 2025, it has announced a sugar control order. SCO here stands for sugar control order. Please remember, a lot of you look at SCO and go to Shanghai, right? Let's say the organization. I'm not talking about the Shanghai organization. I'm talking about sugar control order. So under the sugar control order 2025, the government of India simply says any mill, any unit which is having a production capacity of over 500 tons of, right, crushed sugar. If they are producing over 500 tons crushed capacity or 500 tons of crushed per day capacity is there, all of them, right, they will be included under the sugar control order. What is the meaning of this? What is the meaning of this? These will have to be registered. Simple. These will now be registered. There is a portal called as NSWS. All of you heard of this? National Single Window System, NSWS. You will have to, right, basically go to the portal and, right, basically register. And the importance of this is, listen to me carefully. The government simply says there is a marketing, right, let's say, problem associated with this. Lot of producers are simply mislabeling the product. They're simply mislabeling this particular product as organic, that thing, this thing, etc. and they're selling. Which means once you're registered, you will come under the regulation. And more importantly, once you're registered, essentially this will make sure, the government now will make sure that you are paying the fair and remunerative price on time, right, to the farmers who are selling the sugarcane to you. Right? Everybody is able to understand? Right? On time, this particular sugarcane will be sold. On time, the sugarcane payment dues, that is FRP, right, are done. Right? So government of India is looking at these particular objectives and has announced a sugar control order 2025 and has brought in these particular units producing khandsari sugar under the sugar control order. These are important points. FRP stands for fair and remunerative prices. Fair and remunerative prices. That is the price that the mill owner has to pay to the farmer who will sell the sugar cane to the mill owner. Right? That is the price which is decided by the government. Next one, Payment Regulatory Board. Payment Regulatory Board. There is a concept called as, right, the Payment and Settlement Systems, PSS, Payment and Settlement Systems Act of 2007. Right? I'll repeat this, Payment and Settlement Systems Act. Under the Payment and Settlement Systems Act, it will basically oversee what are the different types of payment and settlement systems which are used. The power is given to the Reserve Bank of India. Regulation of the payment systems and settlements settlements are there, etc. For example, right, those who are wondering, sir, what do you mean by payment and settlement? Can I make a payment and settle the transaction using checkbook? Please do let me know. Using check, can I make a payment and settle the transaction? Can I use, right, let's say RTGS, NEFT, etc. for making, right, let's say settlement of a transaction, etc. So all these types of transactions are essentially coming under the Payment and Settlement Systems Act. And to oversee all these particular types of payment and settlement system, there was one authority which was called as Board for Regulation and Supervision of Payment and Settlement Systems, BPSS. And this particular board had RBI members. The board had RBI members. Government of India has set up a new authority, Payments Regulatory Board, under Section 3 of the Payment Settlement Systems Act of 2007. A new board has been set up. The functions of the BPSS now will be conducted by the PRB. And those who are wondering, sir, what was the need? The need was very simple. The BPSS is a very old entity which had only RBI representation. Now, Government of India simply says, no, no, no. Look at the committee recommendations. Multiple committees have recommended that you should have a different, right, let's say, board. There should be a different set of authority now. And reason behind this is, what is the growth of the payment and settlement systems in recent times? According to that, you need to restructure the authority as well. And that is a precise reason a new payments regulatory board has been set up by Government of India. And this particular payments regulatory board will have 6 members. 3 of them will be from Reserve Bank of India and remaining 3 will be appointed by Government of India. Please remember, right? The board will have 3 government nominees. The board will have 3 government nominees, just like the Monetary Policy Committee, right? The RBI governor will be chairing this particular board. The board has to meet at least twice every year. And have a look at this. The same recommendation which was brought to the RBI earlier, back in the 2018, when the same recommendation was brought to RBI opposed it. RBI simply said, not required. Why? We have BPSS. Right? BPSS is doing the same work. We don't want to shift this particular function out of the control of the Central Board of Directors. We don't want to shift it. Right? That is a precise reason. This is an old recommendation, by the way, but now Government of India simply has notified it. Notified it, and the PRB, right, has been established and essentially it is working now. Done? Everybody is okay? Please be very careful. These are the kind of areas which UPSC will test you in. Right? These are important areas where UPSC will test you. Okay, next one. Monetary Policy, June 2025. Right? Monetary Policy, the 2025. What are the important announcements? Multiple announcements were there. Important ones are simple. The cash reserve ratio was reduced by 100 basis points to 3%. And what is the importance of reduction of CRR? This can be asked. Please be very careful. What is the importance of reduction of CRR? CRR changes will change the money supply in, right, a durable time period. For a durable time period, the liquidity will change. The money supply will change. Because this can be asked to you. Why not change repo rate? Think of this and, right, do let me know also. Why not reduce repo rate? Reduce the repo rate by 100 basis points rather than reducing cash reserve ratio. Because the repo rate is a short-term tool. It is a short-term tool. Whereas cash reserve ratio will ensure the changes in the liquidity will be durable in nature. That's a reason, right, the CRR has been reduced by 100 basis points. In addition to this, the gold loan LTV, right, the loan to value ratio, certain changes have been introduced by Reserve Bank of India. Again, I'm not going to the story here. Before this announcement, certain other announcement was done by RBI. There was opposition. The finance minister wrote a letter. There was a letter written by the Chief Minister of Tamil Nadu as well, saying that the new regulations of the gold LTV announced by RBI are not in favor of poor people. These will hurt poor borrowers, etc., etc. Don't worry about the story. What was the final outcome? Just focus on that. Okay, right. So gold loans up to 2.5 lakh will be exempted from the credit appraisal system. No report, nothing. Right? If you want to pledge gold and take a loan, you don't have to go for an appraisal system. And the LTV ratio will be fixed at 85%. And this 85% will be applicable for loans about 2.5 lakh up to 5 lakh rupees. The loan to value ratio will be 80%. And right, for the loans above 5 lakh rupees, it will be 75%. And the loans up to 2.5 lakh, LTV will be 85%. All of you understand the meaning of LTV? Loan to value. That is, upon inspecting the value of the gold, whatever is the value, hypothetically, let's say 1 lakh rupees, 85% of the value will be given to you in the form of loan. Right, so these are certain very important changes in the context of gold loans, that is the LTV ratio that has been announced by Reserve Bank of India. And RBI simply says, along with the interest, earlier there was a concept of a bullet repayment, etc. RBI has done away with all of that. So along with the interest, at any point of time, the LTV has to be, right, at least 75% throughout the tenure of the loan. Along with the interest that you're supposed to repay, the LTV cannot be below 75%. Done? Right? So these are certain important changes in the context of, right, let's say, the monetary policy announcement in the month of June. Now, the last part of the today's discussion. There are certain articles where you don't require right, let's say, a lot of study. You don't need to do a PhD. You need to simply remember, right, let's say, important terminologies or let's say important data. I've compiled these into one slide. Right, regarding this, notes are there. Right, one paragraph, two paragraphs, notes are there. Again, I'm saying, let the session be over. The notes will be given to you. Have patience. Please have patience. If this is not given in the, right, let's say, the website, please do check in my, right, Telegram channel. Please do not panic, but focus on the discussion. The Ministry of Agriculture has launched, in fact, has conducted the first ever edible oil consumption. Right, the first ever survey for measuring edible oil consumption. Right, so please be very careful. Please be very careful. This can be asked. Why I'm telling you this is on the 15th August, right? On the 15th August, the Prime Minister of India gave a speech, Red Fort. There he talked about the food habits of Indians. Food habits of Indians. Lot of, right, let's say, the consumption of oil, which will contribute to, right, let's say, the diabetes, right, burden of India. And if you want to remember, that can be asked in the preliminary examination. Even the NFHS, National Family Health Survey 5, which was conducted for 2019 to 2021, it also stated 24% of the women are obese in India. 23% of the men are obese in India. India houses one of the highest burden, in fact, the highest burden of obesity causing diabetes. Right? So there are a lot of issues. So please be very careful. First edible oil consumption survey has been conducted last year by Ministry of Agriculture. India has joined a committee under the United Nations, that is Committee of Experts on the Big Data and Data Science for Official Statistics. Right, what is the role of this? Essentially, the role will be a lot of, right, recommendations will be provided. How do you use better technologies regarding statistics, etc. So India is a member of this particular committee. Government has extended application of RODTP, remission of duties and taxes on export products benefits to EOU and SEZ, Special Economic Zone and Export Oriented Unit. Right, so this is also was done by the government last year. Please remember this. Until now, the benefits were not available to these entities. Now, extension has been provided. Pig butchering scam. RBI raised a concern. SEBI has raised a concern regarding pig butchering scam. Right, what is this idea of a pig butchering? Essentially, somebody will message you, will call you. They will, right, talk to you. They will basically give you a lot of confidence. They will make you feel like they care about you. And later on, they will ask you money to invest in certain financial products. Right? So that particular scam is called as a pig butchering scam. In fact, this has been one of the issues, right? Why a lot of, right, let's say, the digital scams are happening in India. The term used is pig butchering scam. Remember, a straightforward question can be asked in the prelims on this. Beam 3.0 has been launched. The third version of Beam has been launched. And what is the, right, utility of the Beam 3.0? It will provide better experience of using this particular app. For example, earlier, you were not allowed to track the complete expenses. Now, under the Beam 3.0, you can track complete expenses. You can split the expenses amongst the people who are using this app. You can have the same app for, right? I'm sorry, same account for the family members, etc. All of this is made possible under BHIM 3.0. Government brings I4C under PMLA. PMLA stands for Prevention of Money Laundering Act. And I4C essentially stands for Indian Cybercrime. Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center. Indian Cybercrime Coordination Center. And what is the use of this? By bringing I4C, which functions under the Ministry of Home Affairs, now the I4C can share the data, right, with Enforcement Directorate. It can share data, it can receive data. And what is the importance of I4C? I4C essentially is the primary authority set up by the Ministry of Home Affairs to prevent and eradicate the menace of, right, the cyber security issues. That is basically the cyber scams, digital scams, right, cyber frauds, etc., etc. Done? Okay, so that is one more important point. Okay, so remember I4C has been brought under section 66, can be asked, section 66 of Prevention of Money Laundering Act. Expensive things will attract tax collection at source. This was announced last year. If you purchase expensive things beyond 10 lakh rupees, the government will impose a tax which is a tax collection at source. What is the idea for tax collection at source? Whenever the service provider will provide the services to you, they will collect the taxes, not GST. There is one more component, TCS, tax collection at source. Done. It was a proposal. Runoff factor. What is the idea for runoff factor? Runoff essentially means the possibility of you withdrawing money very quickly from the bank. Is it okay? I'll repeat the statement. What is the meaning of runoff? What is the possibility of you withdrawing the money very quickly, right, from the bank? That is basically called as a runoff. And the runoff factor has become predominant now in recent times because of the banks providing banking facilities. That is online banking facilities. I'm talking about online. Right? With online banking, there is more possibility now that you can withdraw the money overnight. You can transfer money overnight. So with introduction of online banking facility, the possibility of money being taken out of the bank by the customer has increased. And that will create problems for the bank. Because what is the model of a banking? Bank will collect money from you, will lend it to somebody in the market. So if the bank today is having money, but overnight you will withdraw money because of online services, where is the money available for the bank to conduct activities? So RBI has imposed certain regulations, a higher runoff factor, a higher percentage of risk has been allocated to the accounts which are, right, activated with online banking. Right? That essentially has made the banks to store more and more money. Okay, right? So opinion trading, basically SEBI has imposed a restriction on opinion trading. That is basically a lot of these particular platforms are giving you, right, let's say a question. For example, whether India will win the upcoming, right, let's say T20 World Cup. Yes, no. It is basically a betting like this. This is called as opinion trading. Right? So the SEBI has basically stated that this is basically unregulated, uncharted territory, very risky to make a bet like this or invest money in these kind of let's say instruments. Right? So these are simple tidbits. Again, I'm saying I'll give you notes associated with this. Please go through the notes. Done? Okay. Sir, why do you add this particular quote in the end always? My dear, essentially it is to tell you people to strive more, to focus more, to learn more. Right? A lot of times you will essentially focus only on what is, should I read this, should I read that, etc. Focus on the concept rather than simply memorizing or ratifying everything. Okay, done? Any question? Any question? Please do let me know. Nano, sulfur, other things, they are there. A lot of other things also I've put in the document. Please read it. So please provide PDF. Yes, I'll give you PDF, my dear. Ha! Don't worry. You want PDF? I'll give you PDF. Okay, done then. That's it from my side. We'll meet you tomorrow, same time. Right? We'll meet again tomorrow. Somebody is asking, does this cover all the major topics? My dear, it is current affairs. I'm expecting, in addition to this, you also have covered the static portion. If not, please keep on attending, right? Let's say the other initiatives, other programs under Conquer Prelims, even lot of these particular static portion will be covered. Okay, Manisha Mukherjee, sir, can you briefly explain the DTAA issue? In what context, my dear? Please do clarify that. Sir, what about the 25% imposed by USA countries trading with Iran? My dear, that is just a proposal as of now. Let's see what will happen in the coming days. Sir, can you explain 75%, 85% aspect again? If the loan value is about 10 crore rupees, 75%, right, will be guaranteed by the entity, that is CGT. And if it is below 10 crore, 85% will be guaranteed by, right, let's say the CGT, that Credit Guarantee Trust. Okay. India, Switzerland pertaining to Nestle. I think I've discussed that earlier also. Simple. Uh, Nestle was supposed to pay taxes at 10%. Right? I'll just quickly tell you this. Nestle was supposed to pay taxes at 10%. They paid taxes assuming they will be imposed with 5%. Assuming they will be imposed with 5%. Why was the assumption? Assumption because Nestle comes from a country. I'll simply write it as A rather than discussing the whole topic. Nestle is, right, basically from a country A. A earlier had a double taxation avoidance agreement with India, according to which 10% tax is applicable on the companies who are from A investing in India. But the DTAA also stated that if India will sign an agreement with another country, let's say B, and A and B are part of the same group of the countries, if India will extend lesser tax rate to the companies coming from country B, same tax rate has to be extended to the companies coming from A. Are you able to understand here? You have signed with A and you said I will apply 10%. But the agreement also says if India will sign an agreement with another country and this second country and the first country are part of the same group, and if I provide lower tax rate for the companies from the second country, I will have to apply most favored nation and extend the same to the first country. So India entered into agreement with other countries and provided 5% tax rate. And this particular country, I'm talking about Switzerland by the way, Switzerland also became part of the group of countries here. So the company Nestle naturally assumed if India has extended 5% tariff, 5% tax on those companies, 5% should be extended to me. That is under the most favored nation principle. They assumed and they paid taxes at 5%. The matter went to Supreme Court of India. Supreme Court of India simply said, no, it is not correct. Reason being, the government of India has not notified the double taxation agreement under the section of Income Tax Act. Simple. Under the section of Income Tax Act, the notification has not been done. So you cannot basically assume that you will be taxed at 5%. So Supreme Court said you pay 10%. Done. So these are some of the important things that I wanted to discuss with you people in today's session. Let's meet tomorrow sharp at again 7 p.m. We'll follow the same practice. Before I wind up the session, please have a look at the QR codes once more. If you want to download the PDF of this particular session, this is a QR code. Go to the page, download it. It will be uploaded after some time. Have patience, right? And whatever concepts I've discussed today, on these concepts, I'll be taking a MCQ based test, right? There's a special session on 19th of January. It will cover whatever topics I've covered. So download the handouts, read the handouts, come to the session prepared. This will happen at 11 a.m. on 19th of January. All you need to do is scan the QR code, register for the session, click on the notify me button, join the session on 19th, 11 o'clock. Let's quickly discuss the MCQs, solve it, discuss 30-45 minutes. Let's close on Monday. Done? So that's it from my side in today's session. Have a great day. If you have liked the discussion, do not forget to hit the like button. If you have any doubts, confusion, etc., drop in your comments for the video. Tomorrow I'll address your doubts. Done? So that's it. Take care. See you tomorrow sharp at 7 p.m. Have a good night.